Hello, Star Wars unboxing fans. Welcome to another episode of Darth Tuba's Star Wars Unboxing Show. I'm your host, Darth Tuba, and I am kind of following up on what was essentially I couldn't even call it I called it a walk and talk, my last video, and what I really think it was just a stream of consciousness where I was just kind of walking around my collection and giving thoughts. And I have more, but this episode isn't really going to be about that. It's just going to be what I want to do. I want to take, I used to do a thing called shelf talk where I would actually go through an entire shelf and talk about what each thing was on the shelf. But I think I'm going to change it up a bit. And I'm going to do what's called a shelf change. Okay. And what I mean by that is that I'm actually going to take one shelf, like say, for example, the shelf I'm looking at right now, and I'm going to make some adjusts. Okay. And the reason I'm doing that is because, I'm into changing the collection up a bit, downsizing it, slimming it out, thinking more about quality over quantity, and trying to do things that, just focus on the things that resonate with me more, and the things that don't are going to kind of get moved to the side. All right. And maybe eventually be lost, I shouldn't say lost, but, getting rid of by way of my Star Wars sale. But as I've said in previous videos, this right here is a stack of boxes, and inside that closet behind the vintage package figures there is a whole stack of boxes. That is only one aspect of my going out part of the collection, stuff that I'm getting rid of. There's also my entire garage, which has about 10 bins that are filled with Star Wars stuff. So I'm really at a point where I don't have enough room to store the items that I'm going to eventually get rid of. So instead, what I've decided is I'm going to kind of start creating shelves in a little harder to reach areas that are my displayable keeper shelves, meaning stuff I'm going to keep hold of and hold on to. And this is one shelf. Anything that's going to be on this shelf is going to be held on. Then, I'm going to move some things like you see here, these comic packs. Now, some of these comic packs I've kept because most of them I've gotten rid of, but I kept a few that I'm a little more sentimentally attached to. I enjoyed the Heir of the Empire book. So this one, Talon Card, I like the character of Talon Card. Of course, Grand Admiral Throg with the Isilamiri on him. I don't want to get rid of this one. I want this one to stay in the collection. Okay, so this is going to stay, all right? So that's kind of what I'm showing. Now, I'm going to move it right now just down here, okay? But basically what I'm doing is I'm working one shelf at a time. And I think that's what I'm going to document as on the channel is, where do I put everything, Eventually, I'm going to start moving some of these items that I am getting rid of. I'm going to move them to locations that are closer to the exit. Over here, there's my doorway behind Vader there. And that goes to the outside of the, the standard regular part of the basement, if you will. All right. So what else we got? So we have this other one, Shadows of the Empire. There's Leia and Prince Caesar. I do resonate with this. I remember when Shadows of the Empire came out, it was basically a movie without a movie. So really cool stuff. And I'm really happy that they did that. It was a cool idea. So I'm going to kind of tuck this down here in the back. In fact, I think I'm going to tuck both of these comics in the back here. Now, they're not permanently going to stay here. Eventually, I'm going to work on this shelf. And this shelf is a wasted space because I needed something with a lot of size to get my San Diego Comic-Con collectible piece there. And this one ship that's just high enough that it won't, it'll fit here, but it's hard to fit elsewhere. All right. In addition, we have this. We have our comic pack, Owen Lars and weird Darth Maul. It's kind of a visionary, it's kind of a what if story, and I like the box that it came in, so I enjoy this one. I'm not getting rid of this one. I like the Owen. There are very few good Owen figures, and this one's a really good one, so I may open it up sometime, but for now we're just gonna kind of place it there. Like I said, I gotta slide these guys back better so I can get him back like that. Awesome. And then lastly, we've got Jocasta Nu. Jocasta Nu is a vintage collection figure, right? There's the vintage collection. It's in a deluxe box. It's got the Count Dooku statue. Great deleted scene from Attack of the Clones. All right, so this guy, I'm going to move Jocasta Nu. Not getting rid of Jocasta Nu. It's one of my favorite Jedi. The Jedi Librarian. Come on. Of course, she was also kind of snooty with Obi-Wan, so that wasn't good. All right, what else we got here? All right, up here. We got this one. Now, sadly, my box has got a little damaged, but this is, when people talk about the the retro line of figures, and they think, oh my God, it's the first time we've seen retro figures remade since the 70s and 80s. Au contraire. Oops. Au contraire. No. This box. This is something that came out right around the same time that they were coming out with those, beefcake He-Man style, ultra muscle figures of Luke and Han and Vader. They created a 4-pack, and they basically, recreated the old molds. I think, if I'm not mistaken, though, I think if you look at these pictures, and you line them up with an actual figure from the older days, I think they actually used old figures and created molds for the new figures. So they're, I think, slightly bigger, and very, very slightly bigger. But they also came with these cool wide vision cards. So for now, I'm just going to keep this guy over here. In fact, if I pull Kylo's TIE Striker and kind of tuck this in the back, yes, I have a Charlie Chaplin figure there too. It's probably going to be something, any Charlie Chaplin fans out there. My one Charlie Chaplin action figure. There he is. I'm a big Chaplin fan. I appreciated whoops, gotta fix that. I appreciated Charlie Chaplin, the genius of Charlie Chaplin as a comedy, legend. All right, and so this came out in 1989 for his 100th birthday. So that's my one. There's a small amount of non-Star Wars collectibles in my collection. I have a couple of classic Adam West Batman items. I got some Star Trek items, but it's mostly Star Wars. Anyway, back to here. All right, what do we got next? Here, okay, here's an interesting one. This is the this was only available in, I believe, either China or Japan. It was an Asian item. It was a slightly reduced size figure. These figures are 2-inch figures. They do have articulation, I think, or at least somewhat, similar to regular action figures that we know of, 3 3/4 inch, but they are, in fact, 2-inch. So they released them as separate figures in little packages, but then they released this kind of box set that is, they include it's a minifigure with the Naboo fighter. I don't think there were other ones. Let me look on the back here and see. Yeah, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. Yeah, there were 8 figures. Yeah, I don't think they had any other ones. Correct me if I'm wrong, but as you can see, this is a Tomy Japanese item. Okay, this guy's gonna find a home someplace else. I don't know if I'm going to keep this one, but I am definitely not going to keep it right now. Let's see, will he fit down here? Yeah, fit down here with the Admiral Akbar. And again, like I said, I'm just going to kind of go, this is how I do it, folks. I don't have a lot of room, right? So I just take it one shelf at a time. Okay, and if it's good, I leave it alone, and if it's not good, then I kind of move it. Now, just a couple of things about this shelving unit, okay? It's not the best, okay? And a little backstory about, let's see if I can get a little, well, I guess not. There's 3 of them here. There's one here, one there, and there's actually a 4th one in the other room. This came from a friend of mine who was actually a relative who owned like a knick-knack shop, things like Department 56 and Hummel, little collectible figurines and whatnot. And she was, eventually she got very old and did not want to, it was actually her and her husband ran it, then her husband passed away and she ran it herself with her daughter. And then, she got well past retirement age and just decided that she no longer wanted to keep the business. So she sold off, I think her daughter took over the business as just did it as an online thing. So they moved out of the place they were renting, and she actually sold me at a very discounted price some of these units. These are types of things that are actually sent if you in the old, I don't know if it still happens this way, but if you own a store and you are you purchase enough product or lease enough product to sell, they will send you displays. Sometimes they're marked. I have one in the other room that's like a Hummel display case. I think it's Hummel. It's a display case, and they'll send you the display case, or you can purchase it along with the product. And these, what I liked is that they actually are in pieces. They're modular. This comes off as a single thing. That side, the back is very thin, and then of course you have 3 glass shelves in this one, and then you have the base, which has some storage underneath. So they're easy to move. If I ever decide to move, these 3 shelves would be easy to take. They don't have a ceiling. They don't have a roof. And that's because it gives you the option of putting light on it. I actually took some foam board and I put a temporary roof here, only because this is in my basement, and sometimes the rafters shake with, and dust and things that I don't always get kind of fall, and then it was falling on the toys, and I didn't want that. So this one doesn't seem to have that because I have a lot of plumbing up there. There's some old plumbing that can cause issues. So now, and unfortunately, I'm at the top of the shelf here, so there is some upper space that does get wasted, but I'm okay with that. All right. So what I'm going to do is see if I can clean up this. This is a budget Jedi. I mentioned on the last episode. This is a budget Jedi kind of way to do it. Basically just cardboard, some sticks, some stones, a little bit of a glue gun, some hay. Mostly stuff you can get outside. Now, of course, these things don't last. These things are starting to come. So I'm going to see if I can get this thing to fix it up a little bit. Just kind of reposition things. Move this over here, and then see if I can get some other Ewok items over here. So I'm going to work on that now. I'm going to put it on high speed, and we'll see how it does. Okay, so here's my partial, I guess you could say, solution. All right, and that is to have these. I pushed, as I said, my goal was get this guy over there, and I kind of cleaned it up a little bit, so the Ewoks up. The trees are leaning a little bit, but that's mostly because 3PO is kind of being kind of held up between them both. And I also have Luke and Han kind of getting ready to be burned. I know that wasn't quite what it is. There's Chewie in the back. So that wasn't quite film accurate. And then this is, of course, the original Kenner Ewok playset. It's mostly complete. I have had a half fantasy about trying to find the Robin Hood Sherwood Forest playset from Robin Hood Prince of Thieves. And they had a whole series of toys that were basically, they were reusing some of the things that they made for the last Return of the Jedi movie at that time. And some people argue that the Sherwood Forest, they put some greenery above the tree trunks and stuff, that it actually looks more like an Ewok village than this was. But I can't seem to find it. I guess other people have the same idea because I cannot seem to find it. So that is okay. Now, I did a few other things. We have our 2 catapults, one of those vintage ones and one of the more newer ones. I got 2 speeder bikes on the back there, Luke and the speeder biker scout, and then we have Leia over here. And then way up at the top there in the corner, not the best of thing. I might consider trying to have Wicket fly in a glider. I might consider, as I said, I'm still dealing with a space issue here, right? There is a lot of unused, untapped space at the top here, and there are no more holes, so I'd either have to drill them myself or just come up with something else. It looks like there was something here, but I don't think that was something more for a front, Anyway, so then I got an idea that I'm going to kind of connect this shelf over here. We have a nice little battle wagon, okay? Now you'll see behind it, there's some episode 1 figures, and here's some pod racers that sadly are not in the best of shape. They're going to eventually find their way somewhere else, because I think I have an idea that I want this to kind of expand beyond just this shelf, like this Endor scene. In fact, I'm thinking about putting a lot more of my Endor stuff. We have the Falcon right here, and I cleaned up the base a little bit, and I threw one of Luke's Han, the little battle damaged X-Wing. I can't remember if that's a vintage one or if that's just a remolded, repainted new mold from the 90s. But regardless, I figured, well, you got to imagine that Luke and Han would have landed their vehicle somewhere on Endor. And then we have our battle wagon up here, right? So maybe I have the Endor bunker still I want to put in. There's a couple of other speeder bikes. This one, of course, I don't really want to take this one out of the box. But I got a couple over here. So I think I might, the next episode or an episode down the road, I might try to move some of these over here, and reposition the pod racers and the episode 1 figures and see where we are. So I'm liking it. It's a good start. Again, I have a little bit of light up here, so that helps light this nicely. Again, I'm a little concerned about where, this amount of space. If I could raise the shelf a little bit, I would. But I'm also not interested in trying to put holes in this thing that don't belong, because it is a very clean looking piece. And I, talk about the display, and it is hollow. Like, this is not a solid piece of wood. This is hollow on the inside, so it won't support, unlimited weight. So I think I'm going to leave it alone as is. But I'm pretty happy with it. Good start, right? As I said, it's a slow process. I still have to figure out what I want to do with these 2 shelves. But I think I'm going to keep the Falcon here, keep the X-Wing here. We got our couple of speeder bikes. And if I can find a place to put up here to put the AT-ATs and the bunker, I think we'll be in good shape. So, all right, good start. All right, so I'm feeling like, okay, this is good. And I got a few pieces moved around. And again, I was talking about it with my wife, with Mrs. Darth Tuba. And I told her, I said, I think I just want to position some things closer to the exit so that if I have a sale, I've been lately running a 3-day sale. And if the day 1 I sell a lot of stuff, which does often happen if I advertise it correctly, there can be the ability for me to come down with the boxes and fill up with more stuff and bring them. So I want to put them someplace. Like right now, this little spot here is the absolute corner of, the hardest to get to area. There's a lot you have to go through. So, all right. So that'll do it. That'll do it for this episode, for this, and again, I know there are people out there, and again, to those who might have their own opinion and may think that I'm absolutely a fool for trying to display stuff like this, and they have their finished basements with everything. I am not in any way. I applaud you. I applaud those who can do this. And I hope someday I can be in a position where I can just kind of minimalize my collections. I can set up a few IKEA shelves with lighting and have all that happen. But for now, I'm just kind of making do with what I have, with the time and budget that I have, and the space that I have. This is a beautiful space. It's obviously it's a boiler room, so, and I have to consider that as well. I mean, I suppose I could build a wall around this, but I don't want this to be hard to get to in case it needs repair. That's brand new, but this is a few years old, so I don't want that. And I've had people come, workers come to work on things here, and they're like, yeah, make sure you keep everything kind of farther, a few feet away, so we have to, so that there's no chance of fires or anything. So I'm just following their suggestions. But I don't, another thought I had was maybe I should look into a finished basement, like finishing the ceiling. But the problem is, if you see here, the ceiling is pretty low when you include these pipes. These pipes are pretty low. Once you get to there, it's like literally maybe an 8-foot ceiling. That's not a lot of space. So, plus, I utilize the rafters to store some figures. Even though, I will be honest with you, I'm probably going to end up parting with a lot of these, okay, over the years, as the years move on. But, so I am trying to kind of clean up the rafters if I can. So, anywho, all right, so that'll do it for this episode. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, I just realized I have a couple more comic packs I don't think these are ones that I wanted to keep. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, folks, may the Force and the toys and your displays be with you.